What up, everyone? DJ Dubas here with you on the Metal Chat Radio podcast. Been a little while since I've done something on the video, so I had a chance to check out Halloween Kills. Now, just a precursor to everything, did not like 2018. I know Carpenter's behind this. He's doing the trilogy, and also another guy named Greer is involved. But I saw 2018. Didn't care for it. Thought it sucked balls. So I didn't have any expectations going into this. Now, I didn't run out to buy it or rent it. We do have a subscription to HBO Max, so whenever stuff comes that's already been out comes to HBO Max, I go ahead and check it out if I feel the need to. In this case, okay, let's give it a gander because I know it's very divisive. I know some people hated it, some liked it. So I thought, well, because one thing I kept hearing was the story is not that great, but the kills are awesome. And other people are like, well, I don't think it's that bad because you have too many expectations going into a Halloween film. That's true to a point, but I'll explain a little bit of that as far as my own feelings on just the overall series. And, of course, this film is how it fits into all that. First, let me get to the main players of this film. Jamie Lee Curtis returns as Laurie Strode. She kind of takes a back seat in this one a little more than some of the other characters, but she's still a focal point. Anthony Michael Hall, who plays Tommy Doyle, and Kylie Richards plays Lindsay Wallace. These are two individuals who are portraying the two kids that Laurie babysat in the 1978 film. So even though they weren't the actors that portrayed them then, they're portraying the older version of those kids now, and they both have a big point in this movie, especially Anthony Michael Hall. From what most people will know also from Breakfast Club fame. He's a pretty famous actor in that regard. Judy Greer plays Karen Nelson, who is actually Laurie Strode's daughter, older daughter, who they saw in the last film, 2018. And then the other kind of notable name is Will Patton. He doesn't have a major role in this, mainly because he's been stabbed to death early in the film by Michael Myers, but he plays Deputy Hawkins. But I really like Will Patton as an actor. He's been in a lot of great films like Armageddon, J.I. Jod. Armageddon, as well as Gone in 60 Seconds. I know Jad Law is going to love that. The story of this one, obviously, because it's part of the trilogy, it's the second one in the trilogy so far, because we know Halloween Ends is coming out this year. So this one kind of like gives you some backstory. It doesn't pick up like you would think it would from the last film. It does get there, but what it does first is basically starts out in 1978, following the stabbings and the killing that Michael's doing. And they did a great job with Donald Pleasance. They had either it was like some edited scenes from back then that they had now, or they somehow got him transposed in there. It's a wonder how they can do shit like that. But you saw a pretty youngish version of Donald Pleasance there, like going back to 1978. So that was a job well done with that. There's an actor in there who's playing the younger version of Deputy Hawkins, played by Will Patton, who's playing the older version. And that sets up sort of what goes on towards the end of the movie, because he has a run-in with Michael Myers in 1978 as a younger rookie or younger deputy at that time. Then we go into 2018, where it kind of gives you some flashbacks of what's going on there, how Laurie Strode and her daughter and her granddaughter end up locking Myers in the basement of a house that Strode's living in. And they set the house on fire thinking they were going to kill him. Now, most people, from what I remember when it came to the reviews and stuff, like the trailer showed a scene where the fireman showed up and Myers is laying waste to him, and people were crying about that because, they're great men for trying to, firefighters are good people. Like it's besides the point. They're fodder for the guy. He's a killing machine. That's what he does. So I never understood the bitching about all that nonsense. They're trying to put out the fire. He's still there. He doesn't give a fuck what you're there for. Seriously. he's going to come up and kick your ass, and that's exactly what it did. Any of those guys, firefighters, could have just ran when they saw him walk out of the burning house. I mean, I don't know. The last thing I think I'm going to do is pick up my axe and think that I'm going to go kill some dude that just walked out of a fucking fire after putting the fucking pickaxe through another couple of guys I know. But at this point also, Strode has been kind of injured pretty badly. So her and her daughter and granddaughter are on their way to the hospital, not knowing what's unfolding with the firefighters and everything else. We also have a bunch of locals led by Tommy Doyle, who is pretty like, they're kind of just celebrating 40 years without Myers because they really don't know the shit that's going on until like they start getting newscasts in the bar that, you know, people are dying. But you have a lot of familiar faces from the past. There's one woman played by an actress. I think it's probably the actress that played the nurse that was with Donald Pleasant's character Loomis in 1978 in the car. Remember when Myers' hand smashes through the window, and that's when he steals the car and bolts out of the mental institution. I think it's that actress who's replaying that role there as well. Kylie Richards, of course, is Lindsay Wallace, who's also in the bar, Tommy Doyle's friend, and they were the ones that were being babysat by Laurie Strode. And then there's a lot of our mixed characters in here that, you know, end up being like lambs to the slaughter, basically, is all they really are for the most part. There is a great scene that I liked in terms of a nostalgic point. That I don't know if it was done just for nostalgia purposes or done to be mocking, but there is a kill scene where it's in a park and 3 of the victims have masks that are represented by Halloween 3, which is not even part of the whole series at all. But it's always been a hot topic for debate about how good it is or why it isn't like the rest of the series with Myers. But I thought it was a cool scene to have. I know I saw that pretty much in the trailer, but I expected that, and I really liked that part of it. Then, of course, as things unfold, Laurie's in the hospital there with Deputy Hawkins. They're basically side by side. There's a good portion of the movie where Karen hasn't told her mom that Myers is still alive. Like, there's a point where both the granddaughter and daughter find out that Myers is still alive and that they're freaking the fuck out, but Karen doesn't want to tell her mom because her mom's like headstrong. She's like, I want to go kill this motherfucker. And there was a rumor that, you know, evil never dies, and that shit comes up like nonstop in this film. Like, evil dies tonight, man. It's gotta die tonight. But you know, the funniest thing about this was just how fucking stupid everybody was. Like, you had people with a mob mentality trying to go and kill this dude, and like, he didn't have to do much for someone. Like, one chick had a gun, shooting everything but him. Gets close enough to the car door because he is done stabbing somebody else inside this truck. And she gets close enough. All Myers does is open up the door and she shoots herself in the head. Like, that's how fucking stupid some people are. It's like, why are you there? Why are you there? But it's for our entertainment, I guess, because that's what it's all about, really, in the end. You know, and of course, the movie just plods along. It's all about just him laying waste to people. There's actually a gay couple, a couple guys, Big John and Little John. They're actually kind of entertaining in this. But he has no problem killing gays either. So I don't know if people complain about that, but he had no problem with that. I did have issues with this for a number of reasons, and I'm going to get into this now. It looked like they were trying to make Myers like Myers has always kind of like had, I don't want to say a playful attitude towards his kills, but it seems like they kind of like took it to another level with this film. So even though we saw him do, I forget the character's name from 1978, but is Strode's friend who is mentioned in the film. I think it's somebody's daughter. I can't. Yeah, I think it's the cop's daughter. It's a former cop, excuse me. Brackett. His daughter is the one that is killed first, and Halloween, original Halloween. But they had like a little scene with her, like the tombstone or something was going on there in the bedroom, and so we knew that Myers had a little bit of a knack for the flair, but they kind of just took it to another level. Like the whole thing with the mask from Halloween 3, and of course the gay guys were kind of set up with music playing. Like I just don't envision Myers really taking the time to do all that. Like it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So. And in fact, it seems kind of funny because the mask he's wearing is pretty intimidating, but it's almost like they took the time to give him like a little bit of a grin instead of like just a somber, blank look that the mask usually has. I don't know if anybody else caught that, but it looks like he just kind of has like this little bit of a grin, and then when he's killing people, it's like, yeah, So I had some problems with that, and the thing is about this. As much as everybody likes all the kills and everything and stuff like that, it seems more like they turned Michael Myers into an action hero, like Rambo. Like, how many kills can he get? That's not really what I really liked about Myers. And it's interesting because this film has a couple points, a couple different scenes going on in it that I thought overall would have made a much, much better film. People may disagree, and that's fine. But instead of making Myers like this ultimate killing machine that's just going around and laying waste to people and bringing up his body count, there was the first scene I really liked in it that they didn't even expand on at all. Like it was really, you could have left it out and no one would have gave a fuck because it just had no purpose. And that was, you had this one woman who came into the hospital, which is jam-packed because people are freaking out because people are disappearing, bodies are coming in, people hurt coming in. It's a madhouse in this hospital. And the orderly behind the desk, is trying to take everybody's names and tell them to fill out the stuff so he can get to them, but he's got to go in order. This lady comes in, she's like, I'm looking for my son. I'm just looking for my son. He's missing. Orderly can't do anything because he's trying to help other people first, right? So we kind of forget about her. And then later when there's like this mad mob mentality inside the hospital, she's passing by the morgue, which is strange because they had windows, but I guess they were able to go down in certain parts of the hospital while they were running around chasing another dude. But she runs by the morgue and she sees through the window that her son's on the slab and she starts crying. It's a split second, dude. They don't even waste time on it. I'm like, that's an emotional moment, dude. Like, you could have really spent some time with this. Like, and it's funny because the movie itself with Anthony Michael Hall's character and some of the other ones at the beginning, they're talking about the effect that Michael Myers has had on Haddonfield for over 40 years. Like, this is before they even knew more shit was going down, right? So they spent all this time setting up this whole emotional turmoil that the locals and the history of Haddonfield has had to deal with since 1978. And I thought, man, that was a grand opportunity to use that to kind of retouch on that whole effect, because now got the same dude tearing up the city, actually killing kids, something that 78 didn't do. And I don't even remember if he did in 2018. I guess he sort of did because I think he was killing some teenagers. But anyway, the point is that they gave you a blip of a mother looking at her son on a slab and then just passed over it like it was nothing. The second scene that I thought could have been expanded on much better than some of the shit that we saw in this was when Myers escaped. I think there was two other mental patients that escaped with him. And one of them was actually one of the guys early in the film who he was stealing a car and they all thought it was Myers again because the people were freaking out. But it's some like more bald-headed looking dude just who escaped with Myers the night that he got out of the bus. But he's in the hospital and he's asking for help. Like he's mentally ill, clearly, because he's in the institution. But all of a sudden, people are just like, "It's Myers, it's Myers," and like just the whole mob in the hospital just starts chasing this dude. And Karen uh, decides that she knows it's not Myers, and she's trying to tell the mob and Tommy Doyle that that's not Myers. So she's taking the mentally ill guy. She manages to calmly talk to him, locks him between two doors in a hallway, and thinks that he's safe. But the mob is coming from two different ends, and they're trying to break in. So they're taking like fire extinguishers and chairs, and they're trying to break through these windows and the doors to get to him because they kill him. Everyone's freaking the fuck out. They all want to kill him. Tommy Doyle, of course, is the one spurring on all this shit. Like the cops and the feds can't contain the locals from going nuts. They all want just to kill Michael Myers. They're tired of it, which is fine. But again, it's you're out of control. And so this poor guy, he's in there between these two doorways, and he starts taking a fire extinguisher and knocking out one of the windows in the hallway where he's at. He's up like 4 or 5 floors. So he finally crawls out, and then he just ends up falling to his death. And I mean, that was a pretty gruesome scene. That was probably like the best death scene of the whole movie, was him and his splatter. I mean, he had a leg broke, and his shit was over here, and he was kind of twitching. It was kind of whacked. That was a good job there with that. Kill wise is fine. I don't think it really blew me away per se. Like some people made it like a big deal. I kind of thought some of the kill scenes in the latest Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a little bit better. But neither film's really a lot to write home about so much. I actually enjoyed the other one a little more than this one. But that's the thing about this film. Like when I talk about Myers in '78, Myers to me isn't your action-packed killer. He's not Leatherface. He's not Pinhead. He's not Freddy. He's not Jason. So his body counts never really mattered. He's more, to me, Michael Myers was more methodical and always used like stealth and patience when killing people. That's what made him so fucking creepy. That's what made him the boogeyman. Now you just made him into a killing machine. He's not really the boogeyman. He's just a killing machine. Like he doesn't mind being out in front of 20 people who surround him. Like that's finally when we get the mob who jump him and think they've also killed him, which we know he didn't because we got a third movie. But I just thought the writing in this, and this is the same problem I have with 2018. It's just not very good writing. But people go in with these movies with different expectations. They want different things, and they get different things out of it. And to me, 2018 and Halloween Kills hasn't lived up to what 78 was. 78 was all about atmosphere and about fear. And, you just don't get that now. It's like, I'm never one to say you need to totally copy what you did before because you don't want to do something twice. But even Halloween 2, which, again, Carpenter doesn't pay any mind with, from like, I think it was 80, 81, that still had a lot of fear. That was even better in terms of hospital killing. Like, I felt the eeriness of that. It's a little bit different now because, of course, everyone in the town knows who Myers is. It's no longer a secret at this point in stage. But, the writing is not very good. And it's hard for me to want to give a lot of credit to what's going on with this trilogy that they're doing because, like, it's kind of like hurting the legacy of Halloween for me rather than doing anything for it. It's awesome, of course, to see Curtis still doing the role. She still loves that role. So I don't have any problems on that end with that. But, yeah, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, if I had to rate it, probably, at best, probably a 5 out of 10. I really have a hard time with it, and I had a hard time with the first one. It doesn't matter how many kills you have in it, the story needs to be strong enough, and I thought they could have just ran with that whole like emotional part of it. Like you didn't even have to have that many kills in this one, and if you would have explored the emotional side effects that his killing spree has on people in that town, would have been a hell of a lot better. That could have been like I can't even tell you how much better that film would have been to have it just dive deeper than what we're getting. And it seems like they try to touch on it, but it's you can't gloss over that shit. It doesn't work that way. It's not a good way to do a movie. Anywho, just have one final thought for you before I'm heading out of here, and it's this.
Evil dies tonight!